Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So these few classes we are going to discuss Dakshinamurti Stotram. And this is a very powerful hymn by Adi Shankaracharya. It's a very special hymn actually. It encompasses a whole lot of Advaita philosophy in just 10 verses. There are 5 meditation verses and 10 compact verses which summarize Advaita Vedanta. So it's a very interesting hymn, and you see it has come out in the form of poetry from the lips of Shankaracharya. So it is very, very profound, very powerful. Dakshinamurti, what does it mean? See, it is an aspect of the Guru aspect of Lord Shiva, Dakshinamurti. It is Lord Shiva facing the south. South actually is, it is seen as the realm of death or ignorance. He is the one who's conquering that. And usually what happens is when you sit for meditation, you are turning towards the north or the east. That's the usual, even in Vastu Shastra, they will tell you this. But the deity himself is turning towards the south. So it is an aspect of Shiva who's in the form of a guru. Dakshinamurti means that. And you see, in Advaita Vedanta, they may not worship God as such, the Saguna aspect of Brahman, but guru is required for all knowledge. And here, Lord Shiva himself is coming in the form of a young guru. And sitting in this particular posture, facing southward with Chin Mudra. Chin Mudra is a very special mudra, hand gesture, which is actually very meaningful, Chin Mudra. It indicates knowledge. It symbolizes, in fact, the highest knowledge. This is the mudra. What does it mean to say? See, these are the senses, body, and mind. And this is the index finger is supposed to be the Atman, which is ever in touch with Paramatman, and not these three. This is the Chin Mudra. It is the mudra of knowledge. So whenever you see Lord Shiva meditating, it will be like this or like this, isn't it? Dakshinamurti's special symbol is this Chin Mudra. And because he is none but Lord Shiva, it is he has 4 arms. So you see, what does all this symbolism indicate? It indicates that the power of the Lord. So as usual, see, this is on this book, on the cover you have already the picture of Dakshinamurti. As usual, his right lower hand has the Chin Mudra, and then it has the Vedas, the left lower hand. The upper left hand has fire. He has the elements in his hands, and the upper right hand has the Japamala, because he is a tapasvi. And of course, the symbolism of Shiva's image you know very well. He is Trinayan because his third eye is open, the eye of knowledge. He has the highest knowledge. He imparts the higher, the knowledge of whatever you call Advaita Vedanta, the highest knowledge of existence. He imparts. And then he has the moon on his forehead. What does that indicate? The moon has power over our minds. He is the power of that power. And he's, clothed in just the skin of a tiger, which means anything ferocious. He is Pashupati. It's under him. So he sits, the characteristic pose of Dakshinamurti is he sits calmly in deep silence, and the doubts in the minds of the disciples are all dispelled just by the power of his silence. So this is the picture of Dakshinamurti which we have. If you go to South India, there are a lot of temples of Dakshinamurti may not be the main deity of the temple. Lord Shiva will be the main deity, but there's a kind of a small place for Dakshinamurti everywhere. And there are also temples of Dakshinamurti. I have seen that. So he is the one who's imparting the highest knowledge. He's jñāna-mūrti, Dakshinamurti. And that's why in this hymn, in every stanza, Shankaracharya will be paying obeisance to one who gives me the highest knowledge. So Lord Shiva is not that destructive aspect, but the destroyer of ignorance and the giver of knowledge. That aspect is Dakshinamurti. And under his foot, the right foot, there's a demon, Apasmara. This is the demon of ignorance. So he puts down ignorance, and really I'm telling you, divine grace is required to remove the different levels of ignorance in our mind and awaken us to the reality of the self. So Dakshinamurti symbolizes that aspect of the divine which gives this knowledge. So it's a very powerful deity, the giver of knowledge. And the hymn is entirely dedicated to Lord Shiva's this aspect. Now, when we come to the hymn itself, in the beginning, always, Shankaracharya begins with obeisance to the Guru. That's the tradition. And so you have the first 5 meditation verses on Dakshinamurti. They are very interesting. The entire hymn is actually very interesting. But these 5 verses, see, Dhyanam, the meditation verses on Dakshinamurti are, the chanting of this stotram also is very beautiful. If you want, I'll chant it. Just follow it carefully. Om Maunam Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam Varshishtante Vasat Rishiganaihi Avritam Brahmanishtaihi Acharyendram Karakalita Chinmudramanandarupam Swatma Ramam Mudita Vadanam Dakshinamurti Mide. When we were growing up, they would run this Dakshinamurti Stotram in early mornings. And you can't, I remember in my school years, I would keep hearing that. When you get up and you start your studies, that hymn will be going on in the background. So gradually you pick up the whole thing. It's a very, very, very meaningful, impactful hymn, I can tell you that. See, the very first verse says, Dakshinamurti Mide, that's the refrain in every stanza of the hymn. I worship Sri Dakshinamurti, the young guru who teaches the knowledge of Brahman. How? Through silence. And who is surrounded by disciples who are themselves rishis and scholars in the Vedas. I worship Sri Dakshinamurti, who is the teacher of teachers, whose hand is held in the sign of Chinmudra, sign of knowledge, whose nature is bliss, who ever revels in his own self and who is ever silent. So you have to picture Dakshinamurti like that. See, all the Saptarishis are sitting around him. They are the disciples. They themselves are men of great knowledge, the knowers of the Vedas. But the Guru is a young man, Dakshinamurti, and sitting silently. And with such power, the power of his silence is, he dispels the ignorance in the minds of his disciples. That is Dakshinamurti. See, is there any way of imparting the highest knowledge? It is the power of the mind that removes ignorance. It is the power of the Guru's mind. A powerful mind will have control over the vrittis of other minds. This is the power which Dakshinamurti uses. Because this knowledge is not conceptual, isn't it? I can't deliver this knowledge through concepts. Isn't it? The highest knowledge of Brahman. Suppose I say pure consciousness. Can you conceptualize it? So then how do we give you a hint of it? That's why then the method is this. Dakshinamurti used this method, the method of he revels in that silence, in that complete stillness but full awareness. And by the power of his mind, in that state there's no mind. Just by the power of his being, he can transmit that state into other minds, the minds around him. Actually speaking, this is a direct form of diksha. In Sri Ramakrishna's life, you will find it. When Sri Ramakrishna used to go into samadhi, people just by seeing his face and his ecstasy would touch something of that. They would sort of feel the waves of bhav samadhi. So this is the power of the guru. Raman Maharshi's life we all have read. Just the presence. Paul Brunton and all these people have written that they wrote down the kinds of questions they had, all very high-fi Vedantic questions, And when they came into his presence, not just the questions were not there, the mind itself had dissolved. Who would ask the question? No more questions. They have been ushered into the light of awareness. See, this is the power of Dakshinamurti, the power of Shiva. So this is the highest form of diksha, they say, where you are not using the medium of words or mantras or even touch. It's just transmission through the power of the mind. You can't even say power of mind. I told you they have transcended the mind. It's a totally different thing. See, in a simple classroom, the power of the teacher's mind is responsible for transmitting knowledge to the student, isn't it? If it's a very powerful teacher, he or she is very powerful and her strong convictions about what she is teaching, that same thing gets transmitted. In this knowledge, it is the realization of the guru that gets transmitted. So that's why, there is only one thing which is able to transmit this knowledge, the guru and the scripture, Vedanta. Because Vedanta is the Shabda Praman. How do you put it in English is the proof of that knowledge through words. Because that knowledge is not a conceptual knowledge. It is not knowledge of an object. So it is impossible to put it into normal words, sentences, and a string of arguments. Whatever logical process you employ, it will only bring your intellect to a certain amount of conviction. It won't go beyond that. Naisha tarkena matirapaneya, Kathopanishad says. You can't use the means of tarka, logic, or even explanation through words to come to this knowledge. Only the Guru and Vedanta. And Vedanta also as Shabda Praman. So it is something very, when you actually do it, it appears mystical. It's not the normal form of transmission actually. If you live close to a person who is reveling in this, something of it you can catch easily. So this is the whole point about Dakshinamurti. That is why, the guru is irreplaceable in the life of the student. You cannot replace the guru. Ultimately, it is a lighted torch that lights other torches, isn't it? So this is the beauty of Dakshinamurti. So you see, the first paragraph itself is saying, Maunam Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam. He is giving the highest Parabrahma Tattva through Maunam. And he is a young man, Yuvanam. Varshishtante Vasat Rishiganaihi Avritam Brahmanishtaihi. Those who are sitting around him are Brahmanishtha they have. They are committed to getting the highest knowledge. And they are rishis. Actually, the usual imagery is the Sapta Rishis are sitting around Dakshinamurti. So Acharyendram Karakalita Chinmudramananda Rupam. So he, just through his Chinmudra and his deep absorption in the highest state of consciousness, he is able to transmit this knowledge. Swatvaramam Mudita Vadanam Dakshinamurti Mide. To such a one who is ever effulgent, full of this knowledge, I pay my obeisance. This is how the first meditation verse of Shankaracharya is. Then you have Vatavitapi Samipe Bhumi Bhage Nishannam Sakala Muni Jananam Jnanadathara Marat Tribhuvana Guru Misham Dakshinamurti Devam Janana Marana Dukkha Cheda Daksham Namami. I bow down to Sri Dakshinamurti, the teacher of the three worlds, the Lord, the destroyer of the miseries of births and deaths, who seated on the ground under a banyan tree grants knowledge to all the rishis who have assembled near him. Vatavita Pisamipe, sitting under a banyan tree, Bhumi Bhage Nishannam, on the ground. Sakala Muni Jananam Jnanadatara Marat. He delivers the highest knowledge to all the munis. Tribhuvana Guru Mesham. So he is the Lord of the universe. Isn't he? The one who imparts the highest knowledge, which is so difficult to get by ordinary means. By any kasrat of your buddhi, you can't get it. It is only available to the Sukshmadarshibihi. Those people who are able to see subtle things is the highest perception. Janana Marana Dukkha Cheda Daksham. He is the one who is an expert at cutting the bondage of repeated birth and death, transmigration. So the one who imparts this highest knowledge, I bow down to him. Then Chitram Vatataror Mule Vriddha Shishya Guru Yuva Gurostu Maunam Vyakhyanam Shishyastu Chinna Samshayaha. Chitram, strange, how strange this picture is. Just see, Vatataror Mule, under the banyan tree, Vriddha Shishya, aged disciples are sitting. Guru Yuva, the Guru is a young man. Gurostu Maunam Vyakhyanam. The method of teaching is Mauna, silence. Shishyastu Chinna Samshayaha. And the doubts in the minds of the disciples are all spontaneously removed. This is the power of Dakshinamurti. Nidhaye sarva vidyanam bhishaje bhavaroginam gurave sarva lokanam Dakshinamurtaye namaha. Salutations to Sri Dakshinamurti, the abode of all learning, the healer of all those who suffer from the disease of samsara, and the teacher of the whole world. See, Nidhaye Sarva Vidyanam. He is the abode of all Vidya. This is the highest Vidya. Yes? Brahma Vidya, Sarva Vidya Pratishtham. Mundakopanishad says. The knowledge of the self, the knowledge of Brahman is the highest knowledge possible. Because why? It is the basis of every other knowledge. Can there be any form of knowledge without consciousness? That is why this is the science of sciences. Nidhaye sarva vidyanam bhishaje bhavaroginam. He is the supreme doctor of this bhavaroga. It's like a disease. Our ignorance is actually like a disease. Even if you know it's there, it will affect you. Even if you use all means in possible, it will still come back. Thakur used to say this, you cut the ego, it will come back. You do anything, it will keep coming back. That's the nature of our ignorance. So he is the Bhishaj, he is the doctor who will remove this disease. We are not just ignorant, there are a whole lot of things along with that ignorance. We are proud of our ignorance. We have pride in our ego, which is totally uninvestigated. And not just pride, we lust after the ego. We want more and more to a huge identity without trying to see what this I is. So a whole lot of complexes are there in the mind. All this comes under ignorance. Hmm. So he's the doctor for all this. He's not just a psychologist, he's a existential doctor who removes the disease of ignorance completely. Gurave Sarva Lokanam. That's why he's the supreme guru of all the worlds. Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. To him I bow down, Dakshinamurti. Om Nama Pranavarthaya Shuddha Jnanaika Nirmalaya Prashantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. See how beautiful. How is he? He is salutations to Sri Dakshinamurti, who is ever pure and ever calm, the embodiment of pure knowledge, and who is but the indicative meaning of Om, the Supreme. See, that's the meaning of Om Nama Pranavarthaya. He is the meaning of Om. He is the Tatparya, the import of the highest sound symbol of Brahman, Om. And Shuddha Jnanaika Murtaye, the embodiment of pure knowledge. See, this is Dakshinamurti. He radiates knowledge. Nirmalaya, the utterly pure one. Prashantaya, utterly calm. Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. To that Dakshinamurti I bow down. Then, throughout the hymn, the experience and state of Dakshinamurti is described. See, the state of Shiva is important to understand so that we know what are we aiming at in terms of the goal. Are you getting this? That's why, unless you have seen a being who has this, it is very difficult to grasp this knowledge. That is why Dakshinamurti is being portrayed here like that. One who is established in the self. How is he? In the Bhagavad Gita also you have those stanzas on Sthita Prajna. Some picture of what this state is like. What is the experience of the one who has attained that state? This is always, in all our scriptures, this will be described. So that by meditating on that mind, something of that tranquility, that utter selflessness and purity of that being comes into us. So that's why all these meditation verses, you must meditate on Dakshinamurti. That's the point. So that Nirmalaya, Prashantaya, that all these qualities come into us. See, knowledge is not possible unless the mind is very pure. Isn't it? Why? It will not catch the reflection of the self. It will not be able to manufacture a dharana out of it. So then your mind will not dwell on God. So that is why meditation on this is very, very important. That's why the 5 meditation verses have been given. Now he will dive straight into the highest philosophy, you'll see. Look at the first paragraph. Actually, the hymn starts from here after the meditation verses. Vishwam darpana drishyamana nagari tulyam nijantargatam pashyannatmani mayaya bahirivodbhutam yatha nidraya yasakshat kurute prabodha samaye swatmanamevadvayam tasmai shri gurumurtaye namaidam Shri Dakshiṇāmūrtaye. What is the kind of knowledge that Dakshinamurti holds? Why do we worship him? Look at this hymn. He who experiences at the time of realization his own immutable self, in which alone plays the universe of names and forms, like a city seen in a mirror, due to the Maya power, as though produced outside as in a dream, to him, the divine teacher, Sri Dakshinamurti, is this prostration. Now we have to dwell a little on this. I'm not going to go fast because I told you it encapsulates the highest Vedanta. See, Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam. When you were coming to from Nainital to Pangot, did you see the rear view mirror of your car? Any of you? You could see Nainital totally reflected there, including the lake and everything. So, like a mirror in which an entire city can be reflected, yes, and see, at the time of realization, the state of Dakshinamurti is he sees it just he sees in his self this entire universe as you would see a city reflected in a mirror. See how interesting it is? And yet, Mayaya Bahirivod Bhuta Yatha Nidraya. But it appears to be outside of me. It is being reflected in my own mind, but it appears to be outside of me through Maya. See, the mirror, it was only a reflection of the city in the mirror. So, also, the universe is a reflection of some suggestive reality in your mind. Mind functions like a mirror. But I think it is an objective reality outside of me. So, Dakshinamurti sees things as they are. So, he sees the entire universe in the self. Even as we see the reflection in a mirror, reflection of a city in a mirror, and it appears to be outside of ourselves, it is nothing but you in another form. Dakshinamurti sees it like that, and due to the power of Maya, as in a dream, it appears to be outside of me. So, the one who sees reality as it is, to that Dakshinamurti I pay obeisance. So, here you see, we have to reflect this. The universe that we see around us, see, this is not actually subjective idealism. They are not telling you everything is a creation of your mind. Observe this carefully. Advaita Vedanta is not easy even to understand and to experience, very, very difficult. This is not subjective idealism that they are talking about. You have heard of Berkeley's subjective idealism? It means everything is a product of your mind. Everything is emerging from your mind. They are telling us, not your mind, everything is a reflection in your consciousness. It appears like that by the sheer power of Maya. So, what is actually happening is, it is Brahman through and through, but appears as names and forms, shapes, sizes, and different features. And it invokes our attraction or repulsion or attachment or detachment or whatever. Now, how exactly do we understand this? That's why all those examples are given. You see, gold and ornaments. Ornaments are nothing but gold. But when you look at the ornament, you don't see the gold. What do you see? Oh, how beautiful the earring. Look at the shape. Look at the color. See how it's shining. How beautiful the bracelet, the necklace. You see the shape, the color. You see name, form, and the utility to you. How nice it would look on me. We don't see the gold. But is there anything there other than gold? It is gold in a particular form, in a particular name, in a particular shape. So also he's saying, Brahman is all that there is, in different forms and names. The light in your eyes is Brahman. It's the light of awareness. But our solid identification is with the body and mind. So I don't think of myself as Brahman, so how can I see you as Brahman? So this is what he's saying. The universe of names and forms is nothing but a reflection of Brahman in the firmament of your mind. You are seeing Brahman as this world. Just like how you are seeing gold as that ornament. Because you're interested in the ornament, you're seeing gold as the ornament. There is nothing called a earring, a trinket, a necklace. It's gold in a particular form, that's all. Isn't this true? For some time, you just leave the idea of the earring or necklace. Think like this and see. gold in a particular form. That's the fact about that object. So also you are consciousness in a particular form. The mind concocts a sense of identity based on body and mind. It's a concoction. The reality is consciousness being expressed through a body mind complex. So, this is the meaning of the Advaitic vision, that it is Brahman alone which appears as this universe. This is the meaning. Not that there is a Brahman and a universe and the two are different. Brahman is appearing as the universe. See, this is the Advaitic standpoint. It is not subjective idealism. It's not that your mind made it up. All that is, Swamiji used to say this, all that is reality. You interpret it as this and that. All that there is gold. You conceive of it as necklace and ring and whatever. So the whole point is reality is always one. Everything depends on how, whether I have this gold drishti or ornament drishti will depend on me. More the ignorance, more I will refuse to see the gold. Isn't it? See, we like a world of differentiation, multiplicity, manifestation. We enjoy that. That's why the mind has got used to this habit of seeing things in terms of name, form, shape, color, size, likes, dislikes. It's got used to that. This is what they're telling us. All these examples are repeatedly used in Vedanta. Water, whether it's a bubble, it's a wave, it's the ocean, it's only water. Water appearing as bubble, so it's an appearance. Water appearing as wave, water appearing as the ocean. Content is only water. Anything apart from water? So also, content is only Brahman. And our so-called personalities, very superficial way of seeing it. If I am identified only with my personality, I will see you only as personality. If I am identified with self, I will see you as self. There's a unity running through this very creation, Brahman is right here. And as he is right here. That's why morning we discussed Ashtavakra Samhita and all will tell you nothing requires to be done. Just see reality as it is. And understand Maya is creating the differentiation. So there's a huge concept called Adhyas in Shankara's Advaita. That is the mechanism of Maya, you can say. How exactly she makes us attached only to name, form, shape, size, differentiation, and doesn't make us see the gold. So due to this Adhyas, we are seeing Brahman as this world. So you see, the only way to overcome this kind of it's not even seen as a problem by most people, They are happily enjoying the ornaments. It is only when some shocking thing happens in life that they try to see, is there any reality beyond name and form? So when the ornament is melted in some way, then they become aware of the gold. Or at least suspect that there is an underlying something which does not change. And that's the precious thing about the ornament. So to be able to get out of the grip of Maya, it is important to have at least a background intellectual knowledge of Vedanta. Things are not what they appear to be. Appearances are deceptive, they say, no? This whole thing is an appearance. Even from the standpoint of physics, this very year, the Nobel Prize for Physics was won by 3 scientists to prove the universe is unreal. Things are not what they appear to be. See, now this green tree. To me, it is a green tree. To a cat, it is a grey tree. Do you know? So is it green or grey, actually? To Bagha, I don't know what color the tree would be, because dogs, I think, do have eyesight like us. But to a cockroach, this is a kind of mosaic, pixelated something. To a cat, it is a gray tree because they can catch only that part of visible light. And I am equipped to perceive this as green. So you see, my perception is as per my equipment and not as per what is there. Actually speaking, there's nothing called color. It's just electromagnetic radiation rejected from that object, which my equipment perceives as color. Am I right? So color is an appearance of electromagnetic radiation. But how vivid and fantastic it appears to us. Entire universe is like that. It's an appearance of primordial consciousness. But the name and form has become very, very important to us. The color, the beauty, the name, form, shape, size. This preoccupies our mind, so we don't see anything underlying that. So this is how the universe is explained in Vedanta. Don't jump to the conclusion, then that is mithya. Then which means it is unreal. See, something can be appearing to you, and but with no real substantial reality. Like I told you, color is something like that. In fact, everything is like that. It is an appearance. So this is what actually Advaita Vedanta is telling you by how it perceives the universe. It's a hard point to digest unless you give it enough thought. Nothing has independent reality as that thing. In philosophy, these are all huge points. I don't know if you have heard it. This is standing scandal of philosophy, they say. The independent existence of matter. There is no independent existence or intrinsic existence to anything but consciousness. Everything is perceived as that thing due to our equipment. So just like this tree I told you, everything is like that. So you see, what they are saying is making a lot of sense now, isn't it? Even if you apply physics to it, it will make even more sense. Things are appearances. And as you are equipped to get, that particular knowledge, you will get only that much. It will be according to your equipment. You don't know the reality of what is out there. So it has no independent existence as a tree. It's a suggestion out there. Your interpretation is it's a green, beautiful tree. So this is all the work of Maya. But Maya is inbuilt in your mind, not anywhere else. So you will continue to see what it shows you and believe it to be true until this knowledge dawns. That's what they are telling us. So that's why you see the knowledge of Vedanta alone can remove this. It's called error. The word mithya, error, please understand it correctly. It does not mean it's not there. It means to say it has no intrinsic existence. It has no independent existence as that thing. It's an interpretation of your mind. As it is seeing it like that. It's a reflection on your consciousness. It's a reflection of Brahman on your consciousness. Reality appears like that. So all this explanation is there for the first verse. It's actually a very good introduction to the state of Dakshinamurti. He is the only one who sees things as they are because he is in touch with the reality of pure being, Brahman. Now we have time for the second verse. Let's go into the second verse. Bijasyantarivānkuro jagadidam prang nirvikalpam punaha maya kalpita deshakala kalana vaichitra chitri kritam maya viva vijambayatyapi maha yogi vayasvechaya Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. He who, like a juggler or a great yogi, unrolls this universe just out of his own free will, the universe which before creation remained unmanifest, like the future tree in a seed, and later on, he has projected himself out to be the world of endless variety due to the delusory play of time and space, both the products of Maya. To him, the divine teacher, Sri Dakshinamurti, is this prostration. See, bijasya anta iva ankura jagadidam. Just like how a seed sprouts into a sapling, hmm, grows into a tree, like that the universe has emerged. By whom? He unrolls the universe, as it were, in this form. Hmm. And the universe which before creation remained unmanifest, like the future tree in a seed, he has projected this infinite variety out of himself. So Srishti actually means projection, not creation. Nothing has been created according to Vedanta. It has been projected from the Supreme Being. And how? By the delusory play of time and space. See, these are called epistemic limits. Time, space, causation, they are all included in Maya. By the play of all this, and matter gets added to all this, you are seeing objects around you. So he has unrolled this universe, as it were, from himself through the power of his Maya. To him, to this Dakshinamurti, I pay my obeisance. So you see, only a great yogi can do this, isn't it? Only one who, if one is able to give you an abhas, a kind of experience of something which is not there, and make you feel it is absolutely real, he must be a magician or a yogi, isn't it? So God as the creator is like that. This is entirely his projection, his appearance. But to us, it's the real world. See how brief is the human lifespan. But we have this inner tendency to think it's a permanent thing. What kind of a delusion this is, you see? A sense of permanency persists in our life. Only from time to time we think, oh, after all, how many years will I be there? It's only from time to time. The rest of the time we feel we are there. So this is all the play of Maya. Because it is sort of inbuilt in our mind, we have a tendency to think of ourselves in terms of permanence with regard to body and mind. That's why we invest in identity, because we think it will be permanent. Or even if I leave it, well, it will remain. Blueprint of my life will remain for future generations. Check out and see check out and see even if time is real. Okay, is time in you or are you in time? Check this out and see. I am in time? Or time is in me? I am in time? Time is in me. I am in time? Why not? Why am I not in time? See, who records time? Tell me. Your mind records time. Time is not an external something, flowing. I am part of it. It's not at all like that. When you go to sleep tonight, when you get up, whatever time you get up, you will not know if you slept 2 hours or 4 hours or 6 hours. Only the clock will tell you. Because your mind shut down, you have no sense of time. So time is in your mind. Nowhere else. Time is the epistemic limit of Maya inbuilt in your mind, to give you a sense of context to your life, a sense of proportion. When you are in time, you feel you're somebody. Are you getting it? This magical delusion of Maya is like this. Space also is like this. Space is in your mind. Causation also is in your mind. There's nothing out there. You must learn to handle mind to discover this. I'm telling you, see, usually to come to Vedanta, you require Yog Bal, Yog Shakti. That's why here you, Shankaracharya will keep repeatedly saying, a great yogi can know this. In many of his works, he mentions things like this. He even gives the Ashtanga Yoga. For the simple reason, to get the highest knowledge, you must know how to handle your mind. Mind control is required. Is there any other way to this knowledge? Tell me. Do you know anything without mind? In the highest knowledge, you will drop mind, no doubt. But to get all these glimpses and understanding and conviction, refined mind is required. Otherwise, you can't progress, you can't proceed. So, yoga leads to Vedanta. Otherwise, Vivekananda would not prescribe the 4 yogas, isn't it? Towards the highest realization. His main contribution was that. He gave out the highest truth, but then he told us, adopt these 4 yogas to go there. That is the way to train the body-mind complex. Otherwise, this will appear only as like clouds in your mind, which will get blown away by other clouds. They are just intellectual concepts. Brahmavidya is not a concept at all. So it is only through gradual training of mind, it will reflect awareness better and better. You know how you will feel it? Not that you're thinking of awareness. You will become deeply conscious. More and more deeply conscious. The purer the mind, the deeper the level of awareness. The deeper the conscious experience. At one point, you are full consciousness. This is how you will, in the first person, experience it. So, mind training is required for this knowledge. Only the highest Vedantin can say, no connection between mind and Atman. Yes, Ashtavakra will tell you that. It has nothing to do with your mind. Does that mean then I don't do anything? Don't make this mistake. There are people who are making this mistake. There's actually speaking no connection between pure consciousness and mind. But does that mean I don't do anything about the mind then? I allow it to run its own course, behave the way it wants to behave, use it like a dustbin, put all sorts of trash in it? Then you will never get this knowledge. The more you refine mind, the better it will reflect Brahman, which is standing behind the mind. Through the convictions born of those reflections, you will strengthen your aspiration towards Brahma Vidya. You will intensify your spiritual practice. Finally, when you come to the super refined state, you will understand there is no mind. Only the self will reign. But initially, you can't declare that. You have to work only through the mind. Isn't it? So you see, a whole lot of these verses are giving us very important clues about sadhana and the highest goal. Aren't they interesting? See, it is Shankaracharya's words. The words of a man of realization will be they will reveal tremendous insights into the inner life. So we will stop at this second verse and continue tomorrow. If you have any questions on this, you can ask me. We have a few minutes. 5 minutes we can take up.
You told about the 4 yogas which Swami Vivekananda does. Could you just briefly tell me what it is?
Yeah. Swamiji recommended you practice all the 4 yogas harmoniously, together, that is. You have Jnana Yoga, which is thinking about the truth, thinking about the scriptures, using the method of thought. Then you have Bhakti Yoga, which means refining your emotion, turning it into devotion to God. Then you have Raja Yoga, which is the path of meditation. And finally, you have Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is the path of action. Try to convert every action into a kind of yoga. So these are the means to go towards Brahma Vidya. method towards Brahma Vidya. Don't think the goal of yoga is different, the goal of Vedanta is different. From the standpoint of Ashtavakra, they are different. From the standpoint of the highest realization, well, you don't have to combine yoga and Advaita Vedanta. But as practitioners, see, you must begin from where you are. If you begin from where you are not, you will not go anywhere. If you begin from where you are, you will go somewhere. So start with the practice of these yogas. This is what Vivekananda recommended. And all these four yogas, you see, they're complementary to each other. You can't exclusively practice just one yoga because you have all these faculties of thought, emotion, propensity towards action, and propensity towards quietness, meditation. So you combine all these four yogas. You can check out the small books on these four yogas in this library by Swamiji, by Swami Vivekananda. They are very useful. He used to say, each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest that divinity and do this either by work, worship, psychic control, philosophy, by one or all of these, and reach the goal.
So with thoughts, you need an awareness of what we are thinking all the time.
That is a method, but actually by Jnana Yoga is meant through the power of thought to dive into the state of pure being. So that includes, your ability to make a dharana of the highest philosophy. Use your thought like that.
But like when we try to achieve our goals, mostly it is our interactions with other people which hampers. Like our thoughts are taken up over our interactions, our thoughts, our reactions, our emotions. So
See, from time to time, you must go into solitude and seclusion. This was recommended by all masters. All the time, if you are in interaction, especially with minds which are not at all interested in this, which will divert your attention towards other things, how do you expect to dive into this knowledge? In the workplace, usually it is like that. You're interacting with minds of a very different order. They are not at all interested in this stuff. They'll tell you, Are, what are you doing? You're losing your life. Now, if you, day and night, if you are around such company, your mind will start functioning like that. You are a product of the company you keep. Here, all this appears very real because this is Pangot Retreat Center. When you go home, it will be a different thing. So, to hold on to this bhav, you must go into repeated holy company now and then and expose yourself to these things.
but the minute I am with people who are the way people are, it is what we are mostly buoyed up by is some words of praise, appreciation, and what we are pulled down by are where we are not recognized and where we feel hurt, and that takes up all your space in mind. So
See, this level of knowledge only comes when you are simply without likes and dislikes. If I have a strong liking for recognition, definitely my mind will be preoccupied with thoughts of praise, something positive coming from other people. I will naturally be preoccupied with that. This level of knowledge will only come when my mind is no more hankering after such silliness. A little praise, somebody eulogizing you, what does it get you? What does it get the self? It will bring a little appeasement to your mind. It hardly matters. In the workplace, it may appear big, but to the existence that you are, it hardly matters. To be able to arrive at this conclusion, a little seclusion is required to understand who am I. I am not a creature who requires to be pepped up by 10 positive comments. I am not that kind of a being at all.
negative comments.
Even negative comments hold the same thing. Positive, negative are only two sides of the same coin. In fact, negative comments are meant to show you, well, life is not to be invested in this. So, a deep spiritual aspiration will remove you from strong likes and dislikes towards these things. The lack of spiritual aspiration will make these things very big in your life and overpower you. So, don't waste energy in these things. You see, whatever happens at the work front, whatever happens in your interaction with others, use it as a means towards your inner life, progress in your inner life. Don't get caught up with those emotions. There is hardly anybody in the world interested in self knowledge. I will tell you this. There's only a handful. So how do you expect those people will actually give you? They are only. It's all competition. They will only see you as a somebody they have to compete with. And if you're doing well, they will be behind you. This is the way of the world. So use it to deepen your spiritual life, but don't invest in it and get hurt by it. And all. This is the way of the world. Yes. No, am I right? This is the way of the world.
So in this, when you say that there is no mind, only the moon or whatever you call, is it if you understand it, is it like the magnet, the iron when it is magnetized, then that iron also becomes the magnet.
Yes.
So the mind, which is through the mind only, we are trying to get this purify ourselves, and finally,
Correct.
yeah. So it's the process is in the process we use the mind, but at the final
Yes.
stage aspect, it merges, it
Exactly.
becomes one with the, like Thakur's example,
Yes.
that small little doll
Yes. Salt doll.
went to measure the depth of the
Ocean and melted.
and then it gets melted.
But it should be a salt doll
Right.
to melt. So the mind should be pure to melt away. That's why I'm insisting on sadhana and spiritual practice. You can't dispense with the mind beforehand and say, oh, it actually does not exist. I'm only the self. You can't do that. Go through the course of sadhana, understand the nature of your mind, purify it, refine it, it will finally dissolve away. It should be a salt doll, then only it will dissolve. Otherwise, it won't. So, shall we end it here? Today's session. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.